All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dissonant Waves, Minisode 26. This is a weird video thing now. Hello. Welcome
Hello.
to the
Hello.
20th century, I guess. We have an interview with um Lorenzo Gillis Cook
Mhm.
of Petite League and Spark Alaska and Through Television.
Yeah.
And can you tell
Going way
that
back.
Trix is a fan here?
Oh yeah.
I got
I
couple
see
records
everything.
behind me.
And the shirt.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
a couple little props as well. Joyrider cassette,
Nice.
sticker.
I do have a
I just-
cassette as well. I just can't be bothered walking up to get it.
Oh, nice. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I have
And
I can send you guys some stuff after because I'm
Oh,
like loading up on a bunch of new stuff now, new merch and stickers and all that stuff. So I'd be
Cool.
happy to send it to you guys.
oh yeah.
All I can send is
cool.
Spotify playlist in return.
That's fine.
So this is a really cool thing. Thank you for doing this.
Of course.
Yeah.
It is almost a year now since we saw you in Nashville.
Yeah.
For that show.
Time has flown. It would be
Indeed.
crazy of me to not accept this offer to come on here after you drove so far.
Yes.
Like we talk about that a lot still.
So that's
Oh,
how
wow.
you get band members on. You just have to drive and stalk them. I've
Yeah.
just been buying their merch. This is the wrong idea.
Buying merch is
Yes.
great though. That's a good way of doing it too.
Drive 8 hours to Nashville, drive 8 hours to Kansas City. Failed to get breakfast because Kansas City is weird.
Yeah, we were actually talking about that the other day. That was the most eye-opening experience. Were you there? Because it started with us going to that one that was like we're not a diner, we're a club, so you can't.
Like, yeah.
And then the
Dollar
second,
membership. Yeah.
yeah, and then we said bye to you. Of like we were in a sketchy area. I don't know if I ever
Yeah.
told you this, but you drove away safely, and then we did a U-turn. And as we were coming up on the top of the street, there was a guy who was in like a tutu, and he
Oh.
went into the middle of the street and was like on something and just started flashing us. And we were like, oh no, like what's going on? And then we had to like kind of maneuver around him, and then we were on our way. But that was like how we ended our time in Kansas City.
Lorenzo,
I
if you
went the
ever-
wrong
story.
direction.
I just got to say,
I went the
Lorenzo,
wrong direction.
if you ever tour Australia, that's just called a Saturday night.
Yeah, right. I've been watching some Australian videos like of your every once in a while. There's that guy who just went super viral in Australia because he got arrested or something, and then he just
That sounds like us.
yeah.
Been doing that ever
But yeah.
since the succulent Chinese meal man.
I love that guy.
Yeah, that's a beauty.
Quote that guy. I love that guy.
Yeah, he's quoted constantly here. He's a national legend.
So you've grabbed my penis.
Mm.
Yeah.
I see you know your judo well.
Yeah.
Mm.
So let's see. It's been a year and 9 months since Joyrider, and now you're coming up on Thrill Seekers, coming out next month. It'll be this month when it's posted.
Oh, cool.
So what has that transition been like? Because it feels like this is the point where you're really becoming like a full band that's like touring and doing the thing, and evolving from a solo act to like 2 to 3 to 4 and kind of
Yeah.
shooting up.
It's been interesting. It was, with Joyrider was such a strange record to put out at that time because I was really excited about putting out new music, but it kind of fell a little bit flat just because the world was in such a weird spot then. It was January of 2021. So no one was vaccinated yet. The cases were going crazy. There was no release show. There was no tour. Didn't have money for, vinyl, didn't have money for new merch, wasn't commissioning anything. So I was kind of relying really heavily on just the music speaking for itself, funny enough, like it didn't do the numbers that I was thinking or hoping it would do. But I think people who liked it really liked it. And I think that was the difference, is people really came together on it, and people who maybe were just like, casual listeners became much more intense listeners from that record. And that was a really important thing for the band as a whole. And then with the new one, I mean, when I pretty much started writing it about a year and a half ago, and my whole thought process behind this one was, I'm just going to write until I'm done. And I'm not going to plan to do 10 songs. I'm not going to just sit and be like, all right, we need this kind of song for this moment or whatever. And instead I was just like, I'm going to keep writing and keep recording until I have a body of work that I can pick from. And I've never done it that way. I know that's kind of a standard way that a lot of people record albums and write albums and stuff, but this is the first time I had really just been like, I want to have like the spoils of riches a little bit and just be like a little bit more selective on what made it, and not really think about an album as a whole, but more just like a collection. And so, yeah, that's kind of what this is. And it was a slow release too. Like we put out Floating Blue and Pantone Karaoke sort of as a way of, I honestly didn't have like anything close to an album at that point, but I was thinking that by releasing slowly, I could buy myself a little bit of time. And I was thinking that this album was going to be longer than the typical 10 songs. So I was like, it doesn't really count. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm really putting out singles in that way. So yeah, it's been interesting. And I burned out a little bit. It's also been the first time that I've been doing music, 3/4 of the way full time. And there was points where I was just like, I hate this, and it ruins the fun of it sometimes. But then I had to kind of remind myself that I'm lucky and I get to do this. And yeah, but that was like, that happened in the late spring where I was like, what am I'm just like, I don't know. I keep doing these records, and maybe I should try a little bit to do things a little bit more planned out. And that's kind of why now with this release, I'm kind of trying to hit the ground running a little bit more with a bang and have like the merch and the vinyl stuff and songs lined up and the art commissioning and tours and release shows, just so it doesn't feel like Joyrider. Maybe I'm really like doing everything I can to not feel that sort of mid-pandemic in a bubble feeling, and just kind of do as much as I possibly can. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Fair. I want to ask a question. Oh, Trix, you want to go ahead? You can go
I was just going to say that's pretty cool.
I do have a question though, if you don't mind, Dominic.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So you mentioned how you have obviously the 10 tracks lined up for this album. One thing I have actually noticed about your discography as well, it's actually pretty consistent in terms of length. Obviously, if No Hitter, you have the bonus song attached to there as well. But for everything else, it's around 10 songs length, just under 30 minutes. Is that something that you've always, throughout this time, considered to be an album's length for you? Or has that just kind of been a bit coincidentally, you figure, hey, the album's kind of done? Because with just quickly as well, just with Joyrider, I actually do agree. I'm one of those people who was a lot more casual, and then with Joyrider, thought, yeah, this is best piece of work so far. And I thought that one did feel more consistently of an album than perhaps the other ones that did feel.
Yeah, I mean, this next album is 13, and it smashes through the 30-minute, so it's long. And that was another thing. I mean, also maybe it was a little bit of like the sixth album syndrome, where I was like, Jesus, that seems like a lot of albums for maybe not a lot of time, even though it has been a lot of time. But then in my head, I've always thought of the 2 first records as one record, just because they came out. I put Slugger out, and then immediately was working on No Hitter and kind of rushed to put that one out right after. Just because of circumstances, like I thought it would be best to do it that way. But in a lot of ways, those records together make about like 40 minutes. And in my head, that's like the same time period and could be combined as one. Everything else is a standalone thing. But yeah, for me, I think the 10 songs, early on, I was doing a lot of studying on like what songs go where, what kind of ups and downs you're looking for on a record. And I just always like the 10. I like shorter albums. I don't really write long songs. I think structurally they've always been, intro, verse, chorus, verse, chorus.
Well, done. you are kind of dabbing in the garage rock sound, which has never really been known for its long songs.
Yeah, totally. And I've always appreciated that sort of structure. I think it doesn't leave you wanting necessarily, and it's long enough. And now, I mean, on this record, we go through the 3-minute mark a few times. And it always felt so long when we were recording it, like doing the drums for it. We're so used to like 2 minutes and 15, 2 minutes 20, and to go to like 3 minutes and 30 just feels like another song on top of it. But I think that kind of came with a little bit of maturity in terms of songwriting, and maybe trying some stuff, messing with the structure slightly, or yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what we were doing on this one. But yeah, I mean, we're breaking out of that 10 song thing and the 25-minute cap. and we'll see how it works. I mean, also I think I wanted to put out more music, and the other thing is like my plan is to put out this album in October and then have like an unofficial B-sides of all the rest that didn't make it come out later or at the beginning of next year, because I just like really kind of following that sort of nonstop flow of things a little bit.
Because I remember last time for Joyrider, you said something about there's going to be 2 Petite League albums this year.
Did I say that?
I think that was the thing you said on Twitter. So
yeah, I probably did.
That to me said you had more songs then. That's like, okay, where are the rest?
That was probably I was as the pandemic was winding down or wherever when people were really going out again and doing things. I have a buddy, Andrew, who's in a band called the Whiskanaut, and he posted a video. It actually went kind of like semi-viral on TikTok, but he was when we were seniors in school, he was a freshman, and he posted this video of a cover of a Black Lips song that they did in a basement show, and it had been so long since we had played a show, and so long since I had seen that sort of environment, that I was like, oh man. And because Joyrider doesn't necessarily have that same sort of like oomph that our early records did. I'm sure when I said that, I was thinking I was going to do like a bunch of like garage party bangers. But the thing about that is though, it's actually really hard to do that when you're not 19 and yes. living that life. It's a lot harder to like harness that sort of energy. And that's fine. I'm sure like at some point it can come back or I can figure it out. But I've noticed like on this album, I try to do it a few times with some songs and I was like, it just falls flat. It doesn't feel as real as it did. And it didn't feel as authentic. And I think that was like a big reason for me to sort of scrap that second album as a whole, because it was like way harder. When I was first starting, that's kind of all we knew. And so it just felt like it just poured out of me. And yeah, so that was probably where that came from, but I did not do 2 albums that year.
It's easy to be like 16 and in like a sweaty garage and like have that whole atmosphere kind of ooze out of you for however long you have it.
Yeah, but, yeah.
Like even then, like yes, it'll ebb eventually, but even then, that wasn't always your scene either.
No. I mean, I think I really felt like I became part of a scene when I was in Syracuse, because I think before just playing in bands that very influenced by older kids I went to school with and their taste in music, and super helpful and very foundational, but it wasn't like we were part of a scene, because growing up in like a French speaking country and being like a fan of American indie rock or British indie rock, we weren't like in it, and so we were like fans of it, but sort of innocently just like we love it, but we weren't jaded by a scene or really involved in anything. And so I think it wasn't until I went to school and started seeing like early on when we were in college, like when I was a freshman, like Perfect Pussy. I don't know if you guys remember that band. There was Syracuse like noise band, but they kind of blew up and they were really playing a lot in Syracuse in the basement stuff. And I was just like, this seems like super fun. And not that we ended up in that world really, but that was super important to see like how something small like that can actually really blossom into something big. Like I'd never been in a band that was, or been known anyone in bands that just kind of took off and like beyond like the internet were like, viral and getting pitchfork reviews. And I was like, I didn't feel attainable. And then to see kind of our peers or people we knew do it, I was like, oh, this is like a real thing. And I figured in my, to me, I was like, we can do that too.
Yeah, that's cool. Like I grew up in Chicago suburbs, so there was always a big scene. So like I remember there was one point where we kind of all figured out, oh, I probably attended like a Beach Bunny show way back when, because I was seeing something else and I had no idea.
Yeah.
And now to see them like get to that higher point where they're getting that attention is really cool.
Totally.
And like it's kind of like raw, honestly. It's like
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's why like being in college, like when we went back to Syracuse, well, I think a couple of years after we graduated, I remember like Claro played before us, and Claude was also at school, and was at the show. Like it's just funny, you know, and they're obviously like, you know, their glow up was amazing. But yeah, it is nice to kind of be at the ground floor of sort of someone's entrance into something. Cause you really, I mean, I remember hearing something once where it was like, you can't really fake, like if you're like a major label pop sensation or whatever, and you have like a big radio hit and everyone knows you for that big radio hit, and then you put out your debut record, but no one's really going to care because no one was there from the beginning. And it's people who are there from the beginning that kind of support you far beyond, you know, the radio song. You'll have a career if you can like harness that beforehand. So I think when bands are, you know, sometimes people will talk about, oh, they like want to get it on the radio. They want to be able to like sign to a major label and just start touring and all that stuff. And it's like, but that's just like, it feels like a hack that doesn't pay off, because when you hoof it, and I, you know, there's tons of bands who are great examples of this, but like tour for years. And it's not like that's an easy thing to do, but like really get to know everyone in every scene, you know, every band knows them, has played with them. When they start doing well, everyone will be like, will claim them and be like, oh, I've been listening to that band forever. I'm super happy for them. I'm gonna argue with you who knew them first. Right. You kind of want to be in that slot. You don't want to be like, I made $1 million off of this song. It's like not as cool as being able to say that like people have been listening to you for a decade and are still coming to the shows. You want to grow up. I mean, if you want people to grow up with your band, you know.
I fully agree with that, and I actually think that's a big reason why Glass Animals right now is probably going to survive past this hit, because especially here in Australia, we've been absolutely blasting them since their debut record came out. Guri was like top 10 here all the time, and now obviously Heat Waves is one of the biggest pop songs right now. And
I don't know them, but they keep coming up. Yeah. I've heard of them, but they come up so often.
You probably heard Heat Waves somewhere, but they're obviously, even though they're a British band, they've still been popular down here. And because they've had that long kind of lasting fan base over here, even when that hit eventually dies out, because all hits will die out.
Yeah.
They will still have this kind of loving fan base coming back to them. But it's also kind of why we're seeing artists like Tones and I really die down here. Who obviously Dance Monkey was another incredible hit. That one, I can't count the records that it broke, but it broke a lot, especially for the ARIA charts and down here. But you see with all the latest releases that she's doing, it's not getting that same kind of traction. It's not the people going, oh boy, the new Tones and I song, as there is, you know, people going, hey, here's a new Glass Animals song.
Yeah. It's such an interesting thing, and I remember hearing that sort of theory being proposed, or someone was talking about it at some thing I was reading or a lecture, and I was just like, that is. I think it really stuck with me, and it's not like we've ever been offered the opportunity to do, you know, a big radio hit thing or whatever. But I've always liked the idea that if you care and you respond to people and you like are communicative with people, and that's why I like our Instagram. I try to be as on top of it as I can and respond to people and make sure everyone feels like they can message me. I mean, I get breakup advice questions all the time, like,
oh God.
And it's like a little bit like, I can help, but I think you should maybe you have someone else who may knows the situation better. But yeah, I'm happy to be in that position though, because it makes being on my phone more fun too, because it's like at 28, which I am now, like it's not like we're always like fucking, and not like it was back in the day where we're super online. So it's nice to have like I log into the Petite League page and I'm like, what are people talking about, you know?
Yeah, it's all my dumb questions usually. So
yeah. I'm way better on Twitter. I'm so bad at responding because I miss it. But on Instagram, I'm better. But I've tried to like, yeah, it's difficult.
I almost tweeted out today. Rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth II. You would have loved the new Petite League album, Thrill Seekers, out October 23rd.
That would have gone like, you know, gotten a whole new audience involved.
My 63 followers.
Yeah.
Chicks is the one who's known you the longest of all of us.
I remember.
I started listening to you guys on Rips One.
Nice.
I was just scrolling through like Spotify, new indie releases that popped up, and I just fell in love. Yeah,
that was well, first of all, thank you. But that was the first time that Spotify, like, well, actually Spotify was like heavily invested in that record, Like they pushed it, and it was like on the main page and stuff. And I was like, oh man, maybe this stuff is really fucking easy to do. Which I think we just got lucky on that one. But yeah, I think a lot of people came in on that record. I think the album cover helped too. I think people were really, really struck by it. And I was like, originally, I think I planned to do it like, the origins of that record actually are kind of weird. It's based on an old baseball cards in Japan. They're more like pogs. So they're like circular, and they had like the rising sun graphic behind it. And that was like the main inspiration behind doing it like that. They weren't rainbow necessarily. And then I just randomly clicked on colors and did that. And I was like, this looks sick. And that was like the whole process behind that.
That's pretty cool.
Sick, so
yeah,
thanks.
I've got it behind me. So
yeah, it looks good, man. There's not that many left. I have like maybe 5 that are kind of secretly sitting still on Bandcamp, and I kind of told people they were sold out. And in case anyone ever is like, oh, I could buy this, they're available.
Big Petite League charity events you do.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I can ask a question.
Yeah.
So, what are you, outside of just doing the Petite League, out of inspiration stuff, just regular listening? What are you currently putting in your playlists?
Let's see. I kind of organized my my playlist a little strangely. I'm listening to the new Jonathan Something EP that selfishly kind of helped put out because he was sitting on music for a while, and I was like, dude, like, let's just put it out, because we've been working with a label with him before, and that sort of died down, and he didn't know if he could release music, and I was like, you can absolutely release music, and so it just helped him put it out there. And I think it's called the Loverman EP, and it is like 3 of the best songs that he's ever put out, and the strangest, like, you can't really pinpoint like what it is exactly. So I've been listening, and I've been listening to it for months before it came out, but now it's on Spotify. It's really easy to listen to for me. What else am I listening to?
You put out Zap World, yeah?
Yeah, it's not like we're collecting any money on it. It's just getting it for him. But yeah, just wanted to put it under something and not just have it say like random numbers or whatever. Really like the new Arctic Monkeys song. I think, can't really go wrong with that stuff. What else did I listen to?
I'll just say I've got my Arctic Monkeys tickets for next year as well.
Oh, nice. I tried to get tickets. They were playing like a really small show here. It was like a 3,000 cap room, and I logged on to Ticketmaster, and I was like, okay, I'm like all good. I'm here on time. And then I was accepted into the room, and there was like 5,000 people in front of me for a 3,000 cap, and I was like, oh, this isn't gonna be good.
Anyways.
Look, it's $150 a year. I don't know.
Yeah,
we don't really. That's a budget thing,
Yeah,
they could go after us, but we don't even make like $1 a year.
Yeah.
Anyway, so back onto the question of what you were listening to.
Oh yeah, I've actually been listening to a lot of Rush.
Ooh.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. I got into. I went to a Mets game, and Pete Alonso walks out to Working Man, and it sounds so amazing in a stadium because it just kind of has that like reverb. That guitar is so simple and perfect.
Oh shoot.
I've seen Rush live a few times.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and I just like put on that record because I really didn't know Rush beyond like Limelight and Tom Sawyer and stuff. So I was just been listening to Rush's self-titled record. I'm like loving it and like trying to play along with it. It's such a sick record. I've been listening to that a lot. Some Alex Chilton, the new Kiwi Jr. record.
That is something I've been meaning to listen to actually, because I've heard good things about that Kiwi Jr. one.
Yeah, my friend recommended it, and it's cool. It kind of has that early 2010s-y sound. Sounds like Tokyo Police Club, and that's one of the bands I grew up really loving. But yeah, I'm kind of trying to mix it up a little bit. I've been such a bad music listener, especially when I'm writing albums. I tend to not want to listen very much. And I've just been a podcast guy, which is such a like my comedy podcast where I just zone out to nothing.
Sure. After all that noise you kind of make, not noise, but after all that you're doing, you don't want to listen to more.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think it's a habit I picked up during the pandemic where I was just kind of alone and doing nothing all day. So it was nice to hear people ramble. And I used to listen to podcasts kind of more productively. Like I would listen to Mark Maron, which feels more like a conversation between people who are interesting. And now I just listen to like dumbasses talk about stupid shit. And it's fine. Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, that's why podcasting is cool, because it kind of, you end up sort of feeling connected to people that are just talking and you're not even in on the conversation. But it's that's a habit I'm trying to break out of a little bit and listen to a little bit more. Like today I actually was listening to the Sex Pistols a lot today because of the Queen dying. And then it started auto playing the Gun Club, which I had never really listened to before, but kind of listened to that record too. Their big record, Fire of Love, and I never heard it before, but it was great. So like I'm always finding new stuff that's just kind of fully captivating, and I do a lot less of just like searching for new music and just kind of letting things come to me.
Well, if you want things to be a little easier on your end, I do actually have a playlist I can send you over here. It's
please do.
100 Australian artists.
Sick. So when I was talking about Jonathan Something, the guy who ran that label is Australian, and he has turned me on to a bunch of Australian music. So I'm always down to hear what's going on down there.
What does he turn you on to?
Like off the top of my head, I'm going to be really bad at this. But all of his bands. So he used to be in the band Isles, and do you know that band?
Idols, did you say? Or?
No, Isles. They're like,
I've heard of them.
Yeah, they were big a while ago. He ran a label called Solitaire Recordings, and they had like a lot of big artists too. Well, they had Good Morning, which was
I'm aware of Good Morning.
The big start, but then he sort of branched off into I'm so bad at names. I'll send you some of his stuff though. He showed me a bunch of, and he's always super well connected. Like like all the Courtney Barnett offshoots and stuff. Like he would show me, and I'm just like, this is great. Like,
well, Courtney Barnett was on this playlist, so that's wonderful.
Nice. Yeah, send me what you got. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, because actually currently what I'm doing after this podcast has ended today and stuff, I'm off to Brisbane because I'm seeing Violent Soho do their last ever show before their hiatus, which unfortunately could be a while, and that's personally always been one of my favorites over here. And we've been a country that's thankfully quite big on the pub rock scene ever since pretty much the 70s. Because
that's great.
Well, some of our biggest exports have always been bands that were just playing pubs. Like obviously you know of stuff like AC/DC.
Yeah, but I mean, I think currently like we hear a lot from people being like telling us to go down to Australia just because like Skeggs and Hockey Dad and I saw Dune Rats.
Dune Rats are absolutely fantastic live.
I saw them in London when I was studying abroad, and they started hawking loogies into each other's mouths. And I was like, and every Australian in London was there, and it was just me and Kevin, who plays in Petite League, and we were just like, what the fuck on? A whole lot of cunt being like thrown around.
That's honestly the tamest Dune Rats show.
I don't know. It was
last time I saw Dune Rats, they wanted to do a large, big, crazy thing for their encore where they're going with motorbikes and start doing a last song, but they didn't have the money, so they had to do it on scooters instead.
That's sick. Yeah. I mean, like that's in my head, like the Australian scene is very accommodating to the kind of music we make, which it really would be so fun to go down there. But I don't really know how we could do it affordably unless someone was like, come to Australia with us. But I'd be down. I would never turn that down. It's a part of the world I've never been to, so I would love to do that at some point. But Skeggs is great. I was turned on to Skeggs last year when I was asking people what they thought we sounded like, and so many people said Skeggs, and I was like, "What is this band?" And I listened to it. I was like, "Oh, this sounds like me. It sounds like my voice."
Definitely early Skeggs as well, like songs like LSD or Mustang. Yeah.
So it's such good, like such smart. It's the kind of energy I like in music, and when I found that, I was like, these are just like becoming my consistent rotation records where I'll just throw them on.
I mean, we say smart for Skeggs, but you go to a live show for them and they just ask who has Chewy, so...
Yeah, I'll see them at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's actually a band I've been meaning to, or seeing too. I haven't actually shown it to either Trix or Dominic yet.
Oh. Well, maybe
Yeah.
one of
They
the
know
raised
Dune Rats,
my
but
own.
they don't know Skeggs yet. Oh, I think
Yeah.
Skeggs, you did listen on your own, didn't you?
Yeah, I've listened to Skeggs on my own. They're great.
We're 110 episodes in. I've not heard Skeggs yet. But like most of my listening comes from this podcast now. So
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. When I found out about Skeggs, I was like, this band can't be huge. And then I looked them up and I was like, at the time, 150,000 followers on Instagram. I was like, oh, like they're enormous. And that's why I was like, Australia.
They're huge in this country.
Australia knows how to party for sure.
Yeah, I remember there was because we have the hottest 100s happen here, which is our big music countdown listening event, because we have the welcome of having one at least large enough radio station play a lot of these artists like Skeggs or the Dune Rats or someone underground. And I can just remember with the hottest 100, it wasn't a case of will Skeggs get in? It's gonna be artists. Another fucking Skeggs song, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like
That's
I
cool,
like Skeggs, but it's just like you just knew they've already blown up.
Yeah. It's cool.
It's be something into like King Stingray as well. If you've heard them yet,
I have not heard.
They are on there. They're surf rock. They're Aboriginal surf rock.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
They're currently blowing up as well, which is beautiful.
Sweet.
Yeah, we just covered them last week. So I that's a good record. I really like that one.
Cool.
This week for next week we're doing your when you did that Noteworthy 01 thing. There's Thick that was on there. They have the record out.
Yeah, they're I see them everywhere. My friend Sarah like tours with them sometimes, but I think when because we played shows for that Noteworthy thing, but they were on the other show, so there was two of them. I don't remember who. That was one of our worst shows. Someone, actually a guy I know now, had accidentally walked out of the building with my guitar before we were going on. It was like kind of like a constant rotation show where it was like band. And it was like a big industry night. Like it was like a lot of big labels were there. And I go on stage and I'm like, someone stole, and we had kind of just moved to the city, or we were like pretty new. We hadn't been playing a ton. And I was like, someone stole my guitar, and there's like a hush, and it's like, I'm just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Someone lent me their guitar. Yeah, but I was like, that would have been cooler if I had just like had the the golden.
Maybe in Santa Monica.
Yeah, so someone lent me their guitar, but I was so frazzled by it because I was like, someone is like just stole like the only guitar I had. And I was like, this sucks. Like, what am I doing? I should be like going out looking for it. And I start playing and I'm just so like, I'm so off. And I was so frazzled, like the guitar kind of out of tune, kept hitting the wrong notes. And it happened for 2 songs. And then Jenny, who was throwing that show, found my guitar and was like, handed it to me. And I was like, oh, thanks. And then it went okay. But I think we'd already kind of like butchered way too much of that show. That was rough.
Reminded of the Nashville show because you had a big string break. I remember.
Oh God, yeah. I should have. I always forget to detune before a flight, and then I'm like, why are my strings breaking? And it's like, well, pressure. But that was okay. That was an awkward show a little bit because the other band. I don't know. It was fun. People were super nice at that show. You guys were amazing. But the Kansas City show definitely felt more like, okay, like we're gonna play. That was that was an interesting show too. yeah. Those guys were. I thought they were all in school, but they were like all out of school and stuff. And yeah, it was a fun time though.
I follow that place on Instagram. They do a lot of shows.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like they get in too much trouble either. They're pretty good at like nipping it in the bud. Like, don't park there, like we told you.
Yeah, it's really interesting seeing like a house in Kansas City just kind of blow up like that.
Totally, it's great. I mean, I would definitely play there again. I'm
sure they'd love to have you back.
Yeah, I think next time we do a tour, we're trying to do more of like a circle, like sort of go along the north border and then down and then doing the south border and then back up, which includes Chicago.
Yes, please. Yes.
There's like the stuff in the middle. I feel like we always feel like we should hit, but it's more fun to do the border anyway, like kind of hitting all of the stuff along the water and
Anywhere obscure you're thinking of hitting, or just all the big metropolitan stuff?
So far, it's just about like seeing how much endurance we could do, like how much driving we could do and how little time, and figuring out that sort of thing. But I'm sure we'll play some random shit. But earlier this year, we played in Miami. It was actually one of our best shows ever. And I think that like part of the reason why is that they're so deprived of outsiders music. Like they have their scene and it's cool, and actually really there's a lot of talent there, but people don't go to Miami very much because it's so far away from everything else. But we wanted to end our trip there because these kids have been asking for us to come for so long, and it was great. Like the enthusiasm was amazing. Everyone came out. It was like a big show. So like, and the other thing is like a flight to Miami from New York is only like $80. Like it's not that much. And so it's something that I think we're going to try to do on a yearly basis, is just go down there and play, because it was just super fun. And the purity of the scene was so nice. Like these kids really were just genuinely interested in hanging out and like, you know, experiencing music rather than like, no, like there's 9 other shows I could be at tonight. You know, there's other bands I want to see. Like no one goes to Miami. So like if you are the band that goes to Miami, there's a certain section of kids there who are going to come out. And that was like a big lesson for me, was like, sometimes it's, you know, it might sound cooler to go play in LA, but maybe it's cooler if you go play in like, you know, I don't know another place, somewhere not in like LA proper, and go play like, you know, a few hours outside of the city. Cause like there just might be more people there, and it'll be more worth your while. So touring is an interesting thing, because we always want to hit the major cities because you feel like you have to, but sometimes like instead of hitting San Francisco, maybe it's cooler to hit Sacramento. Who knows?
So when you actually like book your shows and stuff, do you try and worry about what demographics mostly listen to you for, say, the venues that you go to, or you mostly just hope people will come to the show kind of booking?
Yeah, I mean, it sort of depends. I think I'm always sort of concerned about like, let's get a show, and then worry about who is going to show up, or like who, you know what I mean? And sometimes it's really hard to find opening bands in certain places. Like in Denver, it was impossible. We had a show, like a spot at a venue that looked totally cool, and all I had to do was find 2 local bands to play with us. None. Like there just weren't any. And they were either like too big and wouldn't, you know, open for us locally, that wouldn't make sense, or they were just played the wrong kind of music. And so that stuff is really difficult to sort of plan around. And we ended up having to play like an opening slot for like a sort of a psych band, and we had like a ton of people there for us. I was like, we could have just played our own show. Like we didn't have to do it this way. But that's kind of the lessons you learn from like doing the touring the way we do it, where a lot of people like go out with a bigger band as a support act. And that's an interesting thing. I think these days it's become, I think it's less helpful to do that. And if you do a headline show, you'll end up meeting more people. You have more of a personal connection with the people you're playing for. But yeah, a lot of people like wait around for a big opening slot for like a big tour.
Right.
But honestly, at the same time, like we're 28-year-old white dudes. I don't think anyone really cares to bring us along. We're not very marketable. And that's fine. Like, I totally understand it. Like we've been pitched for tours before, and we've always lost to a more diverse cast of bands. And I'm like, look, you asked me, I didn't, you know, I just play with my buddies. It's not like it was formed in the idea of like, well, like we're so interesting and diverse. It's like, we're just having fun, and we'll tour when we can and play with whoever wants to play with us. Like, that's sort of been our mentality about it, is like, I'm not going to be competitive about this and worry about that. And I don't know, that's a whole nother discussion, but it is interesting. Like navigating touring in general these days is I like doing it myself a lot.
The large music scene, there's plenty of room for a lot of people.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's like, I totally understand why, you know, there's a big demand now to not just have like the big all white, you know, at the end of the tour, all white dudes just hanging out, smiling at the camera. Like, it's stupid. And like, there's no reason for it. There's so many versions of Petite League, like out there. There's no reason to pick another one. Like, just try to diversify your tours for sure. But at the same time, if you don't sulk about that, like, go play your own shows. Like, if there's people who want to see you, they'll come see you. And yeah, I don't know. There's so much complaining and so much like bitterness in music, and trying to one up everybody. And it's like, at the end of the day, this should just be fun. It should just be about the fun of touring and hanging out and meeting people. Like, would never have met you guys if you guys hadn't driven way too far to see us. But that it's so important. And it's like why I'm here now. Like it's really nice to sort of maintain friendships like this. And it wouldn't have happened if we had been waiting for, it wouldn't have happened if we'd played like a massive opening slot in Nashville that night, because we wouldn't have met anybody. We would have been like backstage being cool guys or something. So I like a lot more of a sort of hoofing it DIY thing where we can just do our own thing and we're not really answering to anybody and we get to hang out with who we want to hang out with. It's more fun.
Yeah.
Chicks, I feel like you have a question. Something food related.
I got a nerdy question first.
Okay.
What's your signal chain?
My signal chain?
Yeah.
Oh, is that like my
pedals and amps?
Oh my God. I'm so not a gearhead that I didn't even know what you meant. I have a Tube Screamer. That's my first one. And then I have, that's just like my boost pedal. So it kind of, it's just to go louder.
Yeah.
And then I have sort of like a distortion pedal that I use. I kind of keep it on the whole time, called a Mayflower. And that's kind of just like the signature, a little bit of a crunchy, or not crunchy, like fuzziness to my tone. I keep it on all the time. I have a little bit of what's it called? Like a chorus pedal thing that I use. I don't even know what it's called. It's nice though. I spent like $200 on it, but I leave it on the same settings. And sometimes it gets jumbled and I don't even know like how it's supposed to look. And at least it has that sort of angelic feel. There's only certain songs where I play that. And then I have my tuner, and then I just have a Fender amp. Don't know what it is. I bought it off Adam in the band like years ago. And then my guitars, I have been playing. I restored my PV. That was like the guitar I grew up playing. It was like really beat up. My uncle gave it to me and I got it. I spent some money and got it repaired. It's actually probably my best guitar. It's like just consistent and it's heavy and it just kind of, it feels right when I play it. Like I just know it really well.
I totally understand.
Yeah, it's nice. It's like a consistent, it's so heavy though. That's like the only thing is like a massive guitar. And then I found I bought a Telecaster. That was like the first guitar I bought and love it. It's good. Sometimes it feels a little bit too fragile or something. So that's kind of annoying. And then I found a Stratocaster, like a nice one, like a $1,500 one that someone had thrown out, thinking it was junk. It had someone had clearly broken off an input in it, and it rusted, and it was like never fixed. So they just were like, "This is junk. It's probably broken." I found it walking to a restaurant with my girlfriend, and I was like, "Oh my God! Like, this can't be." Like, I was like, it was on a couch that just had a free sign on it, and I was like, "No way!" And I kind of carried it with me, like a little bit, holding it out because I was like, someone's gonna see me with this, be like, "Hey, why are you stealing my shit?" Brought it to the restaurant with me, no case, just put it in the corner. Got home and I was like, cleaned it, and I was like, it worked. And I actually have to get it like repaired, but it is a fine guitar and it's a great beater. Like I think that'll be my consistent like tour guitar. Yeah, that's kind of what I play with mostly. I have way too many guitars for someone who doesn't like shred and like care that much about it.
I feel that.
But they've just kind of fallen into my life. I bought my first bass.
Ooh.
It's a Squier Mustang.
Those are pretty good.
Texas language, yes.
I got. This is my Fender Mustang here.
Yeah, oh, nice. Yeah, this is my. It's a little dusty because I haven't been playing it very much, but it's like the 3/4, like really small.
Oh yeah, the 30-inch scale. I love short scales.
So nice because I borrowed my friend's when I was recording this album, and his was like a nice vintage one. I was like, it's just so much easier to play, and it fits in my room better. And so I bought one, and I love it. It's honestly like such a fun thing to just mess around with. I think I was supposed to be a bass player because I really enjoy it, like recording bass. It's just so much more fun. You can create the song from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know guitars that much. I just think of, do you know Shaky Graves at all?
Yeah.
He just did his re-release of his first album, Roll the Bones X, last year. And that whole second part of that album is just the story of this old guitar and like discovering it and like all of its weird quirks and
Nice.
like the eeriness of it. That's all I think of because I don't know guitar. But
No,
that's what Truth is for.
But I don't, I'm not like such a savant that I can hear like the biggest difference between certain guitars, but I definitely feel something different. Like when it's more of it's a touch and the sound, and you can play the same chord on different guitars, and it just, I can't describe the sound difference necessarily. Sometimes it's like I'll play a chord on one guitar and I'll play it on another one, and I'll be like, well, I have to write it on this one. It just feels better. It has like there's like an energy behind it that just works better. I don't know if that's like, in my head.
I totally get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And, sometimes you borrow your friend's guitar and you're like, oh my God, like we were meant to be. And then you give it back and you're like, all right, no, I guess not. But yeah, there's some guitars that just feel right. And actually, like my acoustic is I don't even know what it is. It's called the Lure. I don't know, but it's fine. It like does its job, but I now know that like I should have spent more time in the guitar shop and like felt around a little bit and just found something that really just kind of spoke to me more than the body and color that I picked out. I didn't really care that much about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about as much I know about guitars as there is.
It feels like you're talking about like choosing like a wand in Harry Potter. Just
it is a lot like that.
Totally. It's very
the guitar chooses you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Callum, anything you want to ask?
I don't know if I should do the true Aussie question with him or not. How well is your sense of humor, Lorenzo?
How good is it?
Yeah, how good's your sense of humor?
I'd say it's pretty good.
Cool. How big's your dick?
Is that like what does that do with Australia?
Just how big's your dick?
My deck? Oh, actually, my deck is, I know what you're saying. My deck is probably 20 by 20. No, 20 by 10. Pretty big, very wide.
Bigger than mine.
I've seen that that fake ad where the guy's like, I'll clean your deck.
Dominic's just laughing because he didn't think I'd actually ask that question.
No, I didn't.
At first I was like, I don't even know. And then I was like, oh yeah, they say it weird.
No, it's, okay. We have on Triple J. There's a Thursday morning session called Questions with Dr. Carl, and people just go up and they'll do this full explanation. It's like, yeah, I'm wondering about the sun's rotation and stuff, and then and we'll just go, and just go, yeah, how big's your dick? And
it's funny.
It happens. It's constantly. It's funny as shit. Dr. Carl, awesome. You feel somewhat bad because Dr. Carl's actually one of the nicest people that we have in this country, but it's funny.
It's good. Dude, I feel like Australia is just like a mini America, and like you have these weird characters that are just relevant to everyone there, but no one outside of the country knows anything about it.
No, I had to show these.
What is the quote now?
What's the quote?
Well, the quote about the fields. The politician talking about the alligators or whatever.
Oh yeah, it was in the gay marriage debate where a politician from North Queensland said, "I got no problem with it. Let 1,000 blossoms bloom for all I care, but I'm not spending any time on it because meanwhile every month someone's torn to pieces by a crocodile in North Queensland."
What? You live in a strange place.
Bob Catter. Yeah. That's honestly the sanest thing he's ever said.
I'll have to ask my Australian friends about some of the things you're talking about.
We've got we've got some crazies in government, but I don't think that's an Australian, American, New Zealand. I think that's a global thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a certain kind of person.
I can't help but notice. I've been wanting to ask. You have a shirt that talks about the longest winter of '94.
Oh yeah.
And that is also like a Spark Alaska thing too.
Yep.
What is the connection?
Shirt. Well, what is the connection? It's such an old reference. I mean, there was like a famous blizzard in Syracuse in '94. Was it '94?
I think
the
so.
shirt says it, but I can't read it. January 1994 goes down as the coldest on record. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it was just like the year I was born, and yeah. I don't know. I don't really remember. Like that's my memory of Spark Alaska stuff is so behind me at this point that if I listened, I know my friend Forrest. Oh, I mentioned my friend Forrest in that song. Don't know why. I really don't remember. But yeah, this shirt is when I found it, I was like, this is so relevant. And I wore it today because the Buffalo Bills are playing. And I was like, this would be a good way. It's the only shirt that I have that's somewhat relevant to that.
There.
And yeah, that's pretty much it.
When we were doing research to Spark Alaska, I realized that you kind of curated a lot of it now.
What do you mean?
A lot of it's gone.
Oh, off YouTube and stuff?
Everywhere.
Yeah. It's hard because there's so much of it that feels so cringe now. And I just am like, I don't want to, like, it's not like Petite League has had the sort of effect where it's like taken over and those things are little gems you'll find. Like if you look up my name, a lot of that stuff would still come up. And I was like, I just feel
I kid you not. I searched up your name and there was this Instagram hotties thing and you showed up in it. So congrats to that boy.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, back in the day, like I looked very much like a teen Disney kid. And I think
you were an e-boy, yes.
Yeah, e-boy for that era. Like and it's so lame. Like it's such a weird thing to have on your resume of your online presence. And I just kind of wanted to not erase it, but just kind of like at least have a little bit of a fresh start or a little bit more control of what was being shown online. Cause a lot of it was just lame. I think like some of the music I could definitely put back up. And I have it on hard drives and stuff. It's not like it's deleted. It's just, I think when I started doing Petite League, I was like, this is like what I want to be known for. Like sure. I want people to know me as like a sort of more of heavier and a little bit more like punch to my name than like a selfie or whatever.
What if it's a really good selfie?
They were. I mean, I was good at it. Like this. It's also this before you had like a front-facing camera. I feel like on a phone. So yeah, it's just I don't know. It's fine. Like I look back and I'm like, whoa, like what a cutie. But I'm like, that's not. I don't really want to be known as like a cute teen.
Yeah. I did. There was one surviving version of Not Sure Teenager out there that I found. If you have a chance ever to re-upload that song, I think it's worthy.
Okay, I looked through my hard drive because honestly, anything that isn't on Spotify. Also, like I accidentally excluded "Flowers Along the Highway," which is a really cool song. Actually, it's like not a cringy one that didn't end up on Spotify for some reason. Yeah, I'll look at those because the ones that were just like one-offs definitely sort of forget. Like they didn't retain in my head.
I really like those early ones a lot.
Thanks.
I don't know. There's something about them that's like you focus so much on like the guitar work and so much on the vocals more than anything else. There's just something so I don't know what the word is, like chiseled about it. I guess that's like
thanks.
Yeah. Once you did everything else, I felt like it was more Latin among everything. But those songs are like.
Well, those are so. The thing about Spark Alaska is that it was just a single mic, me playing the guitar as close as possible. Like I didn't mess with any of the settings, and I just brought it to where I wanted it to sound, and I wouldn't move. And then I would play it until I got it right, and then I took the same mic and I would sing into it, and I double track my vocals, and it's literally like I'm pretty sure at the root of all of those like songs, it's 3 tracks. It's like there's nothing flashy about it, and I do think that like the recordings sound so good for what it was, and I've tried to emulate it, but I get in my head now where I'm like I can shape this better. But yeah, it was a little like a $50 mic my buddy got me for my graduation present from high school, and I was like, this is perfect. Like it rests on my bed, and if I go this far, it sounds like that. If I go this far, it sounds like that. And yeah, they sound so warm. I think that that's a really cool thing. And it, if anything, it was a good exploration for me on like how to control my voice and actually boosting some confidence in me kind of figuring out that I actually had a unique voice and I could sing really high and I could figure it out and I could kind of hide some of my imperfections very easily by double tracking. And I was like, oh, this isn't that hard. And like, talk about purity, like those first songs were, and I'll, despite the cringe, I'm also very proud of like the lyrics. I can't like think of them off the top of my head, but like pretty smart songwriting, like not something that just comes naturally to me now. I think as you get older and listen to more shit and have more outside influences, I think you kind of lose a little bit of that sort of just like, well, I'm just gonna say exactly how I feel and exactly what I think sounds nice. And that's what that was. I mean, there's also a time before Spotify where it was just like, this is my thing. Like I don't know of anyone else doing this because I don't have anyone telling me this is good or bad. I just think I think it's good. But it is interesting. Like the songs that did well in the Spark Alaska stuff, like, I mean, it's mostly like Hidden Edelweiss. And I knew that one was going to do well. I could tell when I did it. I was like, this is a banger. And then, but the other one was like Portuguese Voices, which I was like, this song kind of sucks. So like, you never know. It's so hard. But I
remember looking at you, like you hyped that one up so much when you put it out.
Hidden Edelweiss?
No, Portuguese Voices.
Oh, did I? Oh my God, I don't remember. I don't know, who knows.
We only have like 5 minutes left, so I want to try to get everyone to ask one's final question.
Okay.
My final question. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Mine will be a good last question.
I just want to know what's the deal with those covers you were doing earlier this year.
Well, which ones were they talking about, or did I not say?
It was the $10 for a cover. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
The what?
The $10
for a cover.
Oh shit! I still got to do yours. I have a list. I gotta have a list. Okay, you want me to read out the ones I still have to do? It sucks.
Sure.
It was one of the worst ideas I've ever had. It was so much work.
But...
Wait, I'll tell you the ones I have done. This is actually better. I've done Wild Horses by the Rolling Stones, Breakfast with My Shadow by Cloud Cult, September Girls by Big Star, The Thong Song.
That's a classic.
Yeah, Crazy Frog, Mango Tree by Julia Stone, I Love You So by the Walters, and Freaks by Surf Curse. This guy just told me to do any Alex G song. I don't remember which one I did. Flashlight by the Front Bottoms, Always Forever by the Cults, Bad Habits by Fiddler, Sun Medallion King Tuff, Waste of Time Elvis to Presley, Many Roads, The Nerves, and a random Taylor Swift song. And I have so many to get through. I have yours. I kind of left off people I know personally where I can be like, they can tell me when I'm like abused this. But yeah, yours is on here. Oh, God. I have time now too. I have to do it. But I have yours. I have the Snail Mail song, a Modern Baseball song, Elliott Smith. A lot of the hardest, like Human Sadness by Julian Casablancas is a 10-minute long song. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. This is so fucking scary.
B-sides. Release it as like a real thing.
I know. I have them all saved. I have I'm gonna release them for sure because they're not that bad. Like there's some real bad ones. Honestly, I should put less effort into them because that's kind of what I promised. That I wouldn't try that hard, but now I got like it's way too in my head about it. And like September Girls, I spent way too much time trying to figure it out. But yeah, I will put it
released as the B-sides, so I hope it comes true.
Yeah, I have some official covers that that are gonna be on the B-side. I guess I'll just say I have some replacement songs that are covers that we're actually gonna make the album, and then I was like, maybe just like a cover can have a standalone thing. It doesn't have to be. Yeah, so sorry about that. It will get to you. If anyone listens to this and they have never gotten theirs, it's not like I forgot. It's on a spreadsheet. I just like have to focus.
Now we have to wrap this up pretty quickly, so I'm going to ask a yes or no question.
Oh, sorry.
It's going to be a follow-up to that. Has anybody suggested 100 gecs to you for that?
No, but that would be that would be a try, like a hard thing to do. But I would try it.
Is it too late to give you $10?
Oh God, you're gonna add to my list.
Hell yeah, baby.
No, it's not too late. But we just message me about this after and tell me what song because I need to like vet it.
Yeah.
Okay.
My question: what is your ideal sandwich?
Oh my God, great question. My friend Forrest used to talk about this a lot, and it was like a perfect first date question. And my answer has since changed, but I'll do like my original main answer because I stopped eating red meat. But
you have a minute 20. Go.
Yes. So French croissant, not croissant, French bread, like the thick, like what's the right word? Like a baguette.
Crusty.
Fuck. Yeah, crusty. sliced in half thin, so it's like long, and it has as a base we're doing ham and Swiss cheese, tomatoes, onions, basil, lettuce, mayo, and the mustard with the seeds in it.
Ooh,
and tomato. I don't know if I said that. Maybe a pickle randomly, like little slices, and close that, cut it in half. That is probably what I would want my sandwich to be, if I was at a deli or whatever. This is gonna cut off, but I think I got it all in. With chips.
You got it all in.
Yeah.
You got it all in.
What's your drink?
A lemonade.
What's your drink? Good.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be it then, I guess, for us, Dissonant Waves and Lorenzo here. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
It's gonna end any second. So
yes, I know. Thank you for having me. Let's do it again. And if you know someone I know who would be good on this, I can ask for you if you want to have a new guest.
Oh yeah, I'll ask
right.
who we can scrounge up at some point. That'd be really fun.
Sick. Okay.
Thank you.
See you guys. Thank you so much for doing this.
Hello again, everybody.
Howdy.
Hopefully he comes back. You can chase him away.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure if I could join before the previous file stopped converting, but we're doing good. So
I'm still recording on my side as well anyway, so.
I also have OBS still recording, but
yeah.
Oop, fuck. There we go. Let me see if I can adjust this a bit more. Fuck. There we go.
Queen is still alive until John Cena announces a death on the announce table.